It is my honor to welcome all of you to UCLA Anderson and to this first ever campus event honoring the U.S. Secretary of State's International Women of Courage. Facilitated by the American Women for International Understanding, the Department of State's Office of Global Women's Issues, Meridian International, International Citizens Diplomacy Los Angeles, and a host of senior leaders across the university. It is our pleasure to welcome you to this conversation in honor of Women's History Month, featuring three absolutely extraordinary women, the 2024 honorees, three of the 2024 honorees of this award. We have Fawzia, Karim Firoze of Bangladesh in the center. We have Agather Atuhaire of Uganda over here on the right, on your right, and Fatima Carrozo of Ecuador over on the left. As tireless advocates for human rights, safe communities, and social justice around the world, these women remind us that making history is about changing the course of it, about making sure that you speak up to let people know that the status quo is not satisfactory, and bringing people and teams and organizations together to improve it however you can. But I think actually it's best that you hear as much as possible from the honorees themselves on this. So I'm going to ask you for a minute to turn your attentions to the screen. Jeffrey?
Courage is not being free from fear. It is about being scared and doing your job anyway. Courage means that you put what you might achieve by speaking up above any fear.
If we can do something for prevention, let's do it, because if our common work can save just one life, let's not wait, let's do it. My name is IWOC. I'm activist, feminist, and today president of the Forgotten Children of War Association. Today, I use my voice to ensure that children born out of war have legal and social visibility in this country and in the world. I use my voice because I know that my identity is heritage of this country. I use my voice to create respect and dignity for our mothers, for my mother and all survivors in Bosnia and Herzegovina. This is a really global problem that should be included and addressed in all political structures, especially in those who deal with the question of the human rights or the question of the support to survivors.
元自衛官の五ノ井里奈です。私が配属された部隊では日常的にセクハラがあり、被害はなかったことにはせず、組織の根本的な改善を求め SNS を使って声を上げました。これを機にハラスメント根絶のために組織全体に特別防衛監察が行われた結果、1300件以上のハラスメントの申告がありました。最後まで戦えたのは柔道があったからです。投げられても何度でも立ち上がり、相手に向かっていくこと、誰も被害に遭わず夢と希望を失わない世の中になってほしいです。
My name is Fatou Balde. I am the founder of Women in Liberation and Leadership, WIL, which is a civil society organization in the Gambia that advocates against sexual and gender-based violence. I was inspired to start WIL due to my experience of female genital mutilation and wanting to advocate against the practice. We also demand for the protection of rights and well-being of FGM victims. They merit our unwavering support, empathy, and access to services. Through my work and advocacy, I have been able to end harmful traditional practices such as female genital mutilation and other forms of gender-based violence within my family.
زوجوني والدي في سن قاصر 14 عام فاش كنت حاملة جارني المضطر ديال الوالدية تماك فين خلقت عند الوالدين ديالي. والدي ما كانش عندها الحق في الطبيب، ما كانش عندها الحق في التندروس، ما كانش عندها الحق في الوراق ديالو.
We have a lot of examples in our family that the mother had the same situation as my mom and they never fought for their children to get registered. Now I'm in my first year of university because my mom fought for my rights.
والأمهات ما يكونش زواج تقليدي عندنا في بلادنا في المغرب، حيت راه اللي كيتأثروا فيه الأطفال بزاف ما عندهم ذنب في هذه الحياة، والأمهات مساكن اللي كيبقاو يعانيو مع الولاد ديالهم. أنا قوية رغم الانتقادات اللي جاوني وباقا إن شاء الله يا رب.
With
I
those,
strongly believe everyone
sorry.
has a fundamental right that need to be protected. My name is Mia Suwin. I'm a lawyer from Myanmar. Over the past 10 years, I represent hundreds of individuals in the criminal justice system. I'm committed to ensure the protection of legal rights, especially to the marginalized community. Individual rights has been limited, making my work more important than ever.
I'm Fawzia Firoze, a senior advocate at the Supreme Court of Bangladesh. I'm a lawyer and at the same time I'm a legal activist also. Mostly my work focuses on the legal advocacy for reforming discriminatory laws and equality for society. I take pride in saying that the famous guideline on the sexual harassment prevention committee in workplace and education institution endorsed by the Honorable High Court of Bangladesh is one of the major accomplishments in my career.
Я белоруска, которая потеряла свой дом. Как и многие другие, я вынуждена была покинуть Беларусь, спасаясь от уголовного преследования. Практически 20 лет я жила, работала в Беларуси, помогала женщинам, пострадавшим от насилия, и их детям, открывала убежище, курсы женской самообороны, обучала милицию, врачей, педагогов, психологов, как помогать пострадавшим. И при этом я сама стала пострадавшей. Мы знали, что не будет легкого и быстрого результата, поэтому каждый день своей жизни я буду продолжать бороться за себя, за свою дочь и за свою страну.
My name is Agather Atuhaire, and I am an international woman of courage. People get it wrong when they meet me and say, why are you reckless? Why don't you fear? Why aren't you afraid for your life, for your children that you might leave behind? But courage means that you put what you might achieve by speaking up above any fear. You put a better life for you, for your children, for the society and other people that are vulnerable, who are really the most people that touch my heart in this country. You put that above any fear. For Uganda, it's for encouraging other people to join. The more, the better. Even if you are courageous, you cannot change things alone.
As a person who is advocating for the rights of people with disability and as a human rights defender, I will work for all Afghan women and I will dedicate all my life for my goal. I am Banafsha Yaqoubi, a human rights and people with disability rights activist from Afghanistan. We try to work for people with disability inside the country. We established an organization named Rahla. While I was in Iran, I faced with lots of discrimination. I went to an NGO. He helped me as a human being, not as a person who is not from Iran or who is this or with that. So at that time, I made my decision. If I go back to my country, I will make such an NGO or organization to work for those people who are more marginalized.
Soy Fátima Corozo, tengo 13 años como docente y soy líder del sector de la isla Luis Vargas Torres. El sector era de preocupación por falta de apoyo social. Me dije, quiero hacer algo. Fue buscar estrategias, buscar aliados para que ayudaran a dar diferentes tipos de capacitaciones. Mis resultados han sido favorables. Se ha fortalecido el empoderamiento de la mujer, la igualdad de género, también para realizar emprendimientos. Y estos niños, estas madres, estos jóvenes son útiles en la sociedad.
Mi nombre es Marta Beatriz Roque Cabell, Soy licenciada en Economía, estoy dedicada al preso político y a poder hacer visible la situación que tienen los presos políticos y sus familiares. Es una cantidad de información que oculta la dictadura y que nosotros ponemos en la palestra pública para que se sepa lo que está sucediendo de verdad en la prisión. Yo creo que lo más importante que yo he hecho ha sido escribir la patria de Dios. Nosotros en este pequeño argumento dimos a conocer al mundo lo que estaba pasando en Cuba. Yo pienso que el objetivo de mi vida, que era traer la democracia a Cuba, no lo he conseguido. Y tengo que seguir haciéndolo hasta que lo pueda conseguir o hasta que mi persona pueda seguir haciendo.
Here not just the Fariba Baluch. I think I'm here as all the brave women of Baluchistan and Iran. In Baluchistan, I was a teacher and a women rights activist. After I came in UK, I became as a human rights activist as well. I wanted you speak about us. I wanted you study about us. I wanted you seeing us as a humans fighting for the basic right.
فردای آزادی روز دادخواهی که فرا برسد.
That's all I want to do. This.
Fatima Corozo,
Fariba Baluch,
Fatou Bande. の頃になです。
Agather Atuhaire,
Меня его Марта Беатрис Броке Кавей.
Меня зовут Ольга Карпунова.
And I'm Rabha, and I am an international woman of courage.
I'm especially grateful for the breaks that we had in that video because I don't know about you, but I just needed the time to process these incredibly powerful stories. And I'm sure you can all understand how it is our honor and our privilege to be able to welcome to the floor Fawzia, Fatima, and Agather for their discussion of women's leadership and global flourishing, along with moderator Katelyn Choe, who is a diplomat in residence at the UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs and an international U.S. diplomat with over 24 years of experience. Please welcome them all.
Before we start with the panelists here, I would like to have the other recipients who are in the audience with us today to please stand and face the audience and be recognized. Thank you. And thank you to the interpreters who will be literally giving voices to the women here today. You know, seeing the video, sitting next to our panelists, recognizing our women, it makes me realize that, you know, beyond what's on the glossy cover, that they are ordinary citizens, sisters, aunties, mothers, who walk among us, and yet they had extraordinary resolve to be able to make a difference and to push through the discomfort and the fear to do the right thing, that one right thing, one foot in front of the other. These remarkable women did not seek recognition or with an aim of being recognized at the White House. Instead, driven by compassion and determination and this commitment They have made significant strides in breaking barriers. And they remind us that the pursuit of justice and fight for the marginalized is not a responsibility that just rests on the shoulders of the extraordinary few, but they're calling each of us as ordinary citizens so that we can answer the calling in our everyday life. And so as we get ready to hear and have these discussions with these amazing women, let us commit to expanding this circle of influence beyond this room, that we can amplify the impact of their courage and inspiring the others to dream and to act and to lead. And so that this event is not just a moment of recognition of the few, but a catalyst for collective action and enduring change. So with that, let's get started. And this question goes to all the panelists. There we go. And I want to make sure that the interpreters, you can hear me. How does that sound? Yes? Okay, great. Thank you. How do you define courage, and in what ways has this definition evolved throughout your career or in a personal journey? And this is for the benefit of our audience who are about to embark in the workforce, or who are in the thick of the workforce, or who are gathering the fruits of their labor in the later stages in their life. How has courage evolved for you throughout your journey?
Hi, everyone. I am so delighted to be here, to be listened to by so many important people in the room. So the question about courage, defining it and how it has evolved. Mine starts when I was a child, must have been around 8 or 10, when I was always unhappy that my mother doesn't stand up for herself. And I think my activism started then. I started by protecting my mother from the abuse of, unfortunately, my father. And so like from that time, I always wondered, you are as much a human being as this man. You should stand up for yourself. And she always said, I want peace. I keep quiet for peace. And I said, you have kept quiet, you have not had peace anyway. So I think, and it's now something that I am older, but it has happened a lot in Uganda, where a man who was, there's a time where there were so many assassinations of high-level people in Uganda, and they have never been resolved. And there's this policeman who said, you speak, you die. You don't speak, you die. Let us speak and die after speaking anyway. Unfortunately, he was murdered. He was assassinated also later after that. And for me, that re-echoed what I thought about my mother then. You don't speak, you are not given peace. So it's better actually to speak, that your tormentor knows that you can stand up. And I get my courage from that. It has evolved that from not fearing to confront my father, I have not feared to confront a teacher who I think is doing something wrong. I've not feared to confront even the president of that country. I've not feared to confront anyone, because I have thought that if we live among us people that you can't just leave it to goodwill. You have to push back. You have to fight for what you want. There's not much goodwill in this world, especially where I come from. I don't know how you see it, where you see it, but where I come from, there's not much goodwill. You have to demand for respect. You have to demand for your rights to be respected. And I have also known that that can't be done by everyone, starting with my mother that gave birth to me. I was the child, she was the adult, but she didn't have that. So I have learned that we can't all be the same. So I will be in a society of 1,000 people, and we are all feeling our rights are being violated, but no one wants to speak up. So I know that I am the only one who is always going to be speaking up. But I know that now it has encouraged so many that I've said, but Agatha spoke up and nothing happened to her. So I have seen that movement evolve and grow, and I cannot thank God enough for that. For maybe I call it both a gift and a burden to have that courage to speak up. It comes both ways, but it is something I am thankful for nonetheless. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Agatha. It was very emotion. Of course, a woman journey is always with emotions. I thank UCLA Anderson for inviting us to join this kind of conversation with all you others. Courage, of course. I never came from an unprivileged family. I had a very privileged family background where I was not treated as a girl. I was treated equal with my brothers. So when I'm talking about courage, I did not learn how to deal with courage that time. And when I started my career, I will not say as a lawyer, I suddenly got attracted with organization where I joined, and then I started learning that we have to make people aware about their rights, because people in Bangladesh, especially the women, they do not know what are their rights as a married wife, what they need to demand, if they are thrown out of their family, whether they can claim maintenance for them, for their children. So in this way, I started my work, and I started telling people about their rights, which I learned for a year within 10 minutes. I could tell a right. What is your marital obligations? What are your rights? In a very simplified form. And then I started hearing the stories of struggle of the woman. Then I used to think about my life and their life, and I do not know when their life became my life. So courage started from there, I started representing them in the court, outside the society, everywhere. Whenever I see any kind of oppressions, domestic violence, or any other violation, I used to speak out. And in this way, I joined an organization. I know everybody knows Solidarity Center. So I was just speaking a few minutes back. It was during 90s. The ready-made manufacturing garment industry started. And it was very vulnerable situation that time. All the rich man's boys started doing this business, just renting a floor or building up a floor and bringing unskilled women into that factory where you don't need to teach them, and they do not know about themselves, their rights. They do not know how to claim for the wages, and you make them work for not for 8 hours, but 12 hours, 24 hours without wages, without any overtime. And I started taking their complaints. Then I started lodging cases, and that case gave me a death threat. And few people came one day in my office with guns, and they set fire. And from that day, I started that if you want to work for somebody, when it is recognized, then you feel threatened. So from that day, my courage started. So my courage is not what I would say then when I was asked to define courage, I was thinking in what way I'm going to speak about my courage. So I'm going to read out. So I think the courage is a spirit to fight through discrimination and injustices to secure peace and equity. I feel that my role is to fight discrimination and injustices. Of course, that is a legal platform I have. And And my more courage started when I started seeing in papers regarding sexual harassment in different universities in Bangladesh. It was in 2007 or 7 or 8. I mean, in the headlines of the paper came how young students got sexually assaulted, sexually harassed, but they could not get any relief when they went to the vice chancellors of that university, when they went to the law enforcing agent, they could not do. And I represented all these students of the university that how we solved the problem of sexual harassment in the university especially. I did not think about the workplace that time. So when in the first day of my hearing, I read out the captions of the newspaper and everybody was thundered what was happening. They said, what is going to happen? And the Chief Justice, he was a very gender sensitized Chief Justice. He was a very good judge. He listened to our pleas. He listened to our hearings. And we started searching for any kind of suitable policy or guideline or laws to address this sexual harassment, not only in workplace, education institutions, but also in workplace. And we found a very Indian judgment, and we saw how a Indian airline, I mean, she was working in an airplane, and she fought for her then. And then we started talking that universities are our loco parentis. They are like our guardians. So when you are under the custody of a guardian, you cannot be violated, you cannot be assaulted. So in this way, we pleaded our hearing and we got the sexual harassment policy guideline, and that is also been accepted all over Bangladesh by various universities, offices and other places. And in this way, I started my journey for the marginalized group, for the communities. But simultaneously, I'm also working for individual persons' rights, especially the women's rights issues. I've just given few months, like 1 month before, an Indian mother who got married with a Bangladeshi person, and her son was abducted by the husband, and the child was taken away from Bangladesh, and he returned back the child after 2.5 years. And I could bring back the child and give it to the mother, who is staying in a refuge in my office. So this is what I think that this is the courage. When I told her that, please define me the courage, then she said, this is the courage. You brought my son to me. That is the courage you have shown to me. So I believe that each and every step give you a courage, and sometimes these courages are also with fear, but the fear I never express. When I get very scared and afraid of to do something, what I do, I just make my hands like this. What is going to happen? What is going to happen? And sometimes I pull my hairs also. My junior, her name is Fawzia, she understands when I pull my hairs. Oh, ma'am, you are afraid to go for this kind of cases. I said, yes. Sometimes you feel that each and every day in your court, you are giving an examination. Because each and every case becomes so much important, especially the women's cases, that I have to establish a right. Somehow I have to get back the child to the mother. Somehow I have to do these things. Somehow I have to get the money for her so that she can have a life, because she is being thrown out of a marriage after 35 years without any protection, without any compensation. So this way I get my courage each and every day from my client, from my groups. So I endeavor my courage in that way. Thank you.
Muy buenos días. Muchísimas gracias a cada uno de ustedes por esta oportunidad que nos dan para escuchar nuestras bellas historias, historias que de una u otra razón nos llenan porque Dios ha permitido de que hagamos algo por las personas que más los necesitan.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Thank you to each one of you for offering us this opportunity to share our beautiful stories. God allowed us to be the ones to do something for the people and to have these beautiful stories to tell you.
La valentía la defino como que tiene que ver con los valores. Si nosotros tenemos valores, aprendemos a ser fuerte.
Courage for me means our values. If we have values, they give us the strength that we need to be courageous.
Esta valentía nos permite salir adelante a pesar de las adversidades, a pesar de las dificultades que se presentan día a día en nuestro camino.
Courage allows us to push through despite any obstacle, any difficulty, so that we can achieve things.
Digo valiente porque me he enfrentado a situaciones difíciles en la vida y que he tenido voces que me han dicho, sigue, porque este mundo, la humanidad, los niños, los jóvenes y las mujeres lo necesitan.
I'm courageous because I have faced a lot of situations in my life, and I have these voices that tell me, go on, you need to go on, because this world, our humanity, our women, our children, they need us.
Vengo de un sector conflictivo porque está lleno de falta de oportunidades, pero igual uno aprende a convivir con eso, uno aprende a ser firme en sus decisiones y aprende a luchar porque aquellas personas que lo necesitan den un paso adelante y que tengan la convicción necesaria de que de una u otra manera todo puede cambiar si tenemos fe.
I come from a very problematic city. There are many problems in the city where I come from because we have lack of opportunities. But we learn to deal with our situation. We have determination to fight for the people who need it. We have the condition to make changes because we have faith.
Y en dos palabras, valentía, coraje, definición y ganas de trabajar por la humanidad. Muchas gracias.
It is courage, it is determination, and it is the will to fight for humanity. Thank you very much.
You mentioned about your faith. I'd heard somewhere that faith is believing that it's possible, and hope is that believing that it is possible for me. Could you talk about the times when you had to hold on to that hope to push through the setbacks? And for those of us in the audience who are facing with potential setbacks, or we view that problems that we'd like to engage with are so insurmountable, where do we even begin? How would you give us hope to know that it is possible and that it is possible for us? I'll start with this way so that interpreters can hear you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Would you like that?
Sorry?
She already got the question. Oh, okay. Very good.
Well, it's really goes back to what I was saying earlier here, that there's no choice but for all of us to stand up for ourselves, and those who cannot stand up for themselves. So where I get this sort of energy to move on is that, and you will have so many setbacks, so many frustrations. Like I said, where I come from, I'll be giving you those examples so that you see if you relate. I have found many people that relate with that, especially from Africa. It's like our leaders are born from the same woman. You find the same problems. So where I come from, I do the work I do, hoping that someone takes it up. I am a journalist, so my activism is mainly in exposing corruption, exposing abuses, I do it with so much precision, with so much specificity that I will put documents there of a procurement that was done illegally, and there is no single authority that will pick that up. Not police, not the director of public prosecutions that will pick it up and question the people you are putting there. So when I had started this and there were all these threats on my life and everyone saying, these people will kill you, these people have so much power, these people have so much money, I'd go back home and say, but so if I was killed today for doing this and it hasn't changed anything, I would die in vain. Nothing will change. And when I was in journalism school, we had studied about impact. There should be that impact that what you've done has created. Someone should be fired. Someone should be prosecuted. It will never happen in the country I come from. You will just be endangering your life, but there will be no change in as far as that what you've done has created that. I have told my friends the example of the Watergate scandal here, that journalists single-handedly led to the fall of a president. You expect something like that I've put there, that this is wrong, that someone has been involved in wrongdoing, in crime. It won't happen. So when I was grappling with that frustration of every time that, I'll be killed, my children will be left without a mother, and life will go on as usual. And the people I have criticized and exposed will, go on as usual. So this one day I just found solace in the fact that, I have done my job. I have played my part. I've done what is within my power, what I have control over. I will go to bed at night and sleep well knowing that I didn't fold my hands and watch the country burn down and watch people go without food or medicine. I did what I could do as a person. What wasn't done wasn't in my control. So that was very important to me, that that for you, you've done what you are supposed to do. The others who have not will answer for themselves. And that's where why I said I'm going to move on, I'm going to do what's right, I'm going to do what sits well with my conscience. And there's a bit of satisfaction that comes with that. There's a bit of satisfaction that comes with every day I meet people that I don't know. Like, I've become so popular, I no longer have a life. You sit somewhere and people say, oh, is this Agatha? You inspire us so much. We wish we were as courageous as you are. We have learned a lot. And that makes you realize that actually it's not in vain. People are seeing what you do. People are picking a leaf. People are learning. But also you'll meet those who say, when you did this, my life changed in this and this way. You affected my life and this and that. And that, I hope everyone can be patient enough to see some sort of impact, even if small. It will be important for you. It will give you that peace and that strength to move on. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a very positive person. I always dream. I think if you start dreaming, something is going to happen. If not the whole dream which you have dreamt, but to some extent, you can have your things, you can see the things. So I'm always a positive. And whenever anything comes to me, even my juniors, even my colleagues, they tell, oh no, this is impossible thing. You cannot do it. I said, let us try. I mean, I try to make certain things. Why I can't? Just one thing, that if a wife is divorced in Bangladesh, according to Muslim law, she is thrown out of the house, you know. And nobody is going to see that whether she has got a roof on her head or not, of her children or herself. And the law is very much silent. Our law is very much silent. What to do? Recently I have done, I told her, don't worry, let me see whether I can do anything or not. Then I went to the court. Then I said, our waiting period of divorce is 3 months. And you know, I had to take help of my Holy Quran, a surah. And a verse from a surah, I read out that how a talaq, how a divorce would take place. The husband has to keep the wife for 3 months in that house until the divorce is finalized. So I said the 3 months has not finished. So let her stay for 3 months. And I had to convince her, she is a junior level judge of a family court. She said, no, I cannot. I cannot do any interpretation of law. I cannot go for all these things. I said, you are having an inherent right. So I had to take decision from other citation, and I had to make her believe that she has got inherent rights, and I could put her in that house, and she is still continuing in that house of her husband for last 5 months. And when I go back, I will give another fight with the children. So this is the hope. I want to make a change. If it is small change, but this change is going to make change in the large extent. Because if I can make it as a precedent, then the precedent will turn into a law. That is what I believe that I can do. And I do not mind doing cases for the sex workers also. A large group of sex workers came to me. You know, nobody wanted to take their case because they were forcefully being evicted from their houses. And those lands belong to them. So a group of sex workers came to me in my chamber, and I fought for their rights, housing rights. I fought for their land and everything. And the forceful eviction was stopped. So people cannot think that I sit with them, I take tea, and I feel very courageous that I can do. It doesn't matter what kind of profession they are having, but this is their right. Their own right to stay on their own land. So in this way, I do my small works and I carry out, and each and every day, I want to bring certain changes. So when I go back seeing so many courageous things, I want to make some changes, like changing the family law, changing the infrastructure of our judiciary and everything. Pray for me that I can look ahead and I can do those things. I think if I die, I will die with satisfaction. Thank you.
Bueno, tener esperanza es muy bueno. Como les indicaba antes, yo vivo en un sector sumamente olvidado por las autoridades de mi provincia. Por años, recuerdo tanto que yo llegué casi a vivir ahí a los 7 años.
To have hope is very good. As I mentioned before, I live in a sector that has been forgotten by the authorities of my province. I arrived there when I was 7 years old.
Es una isla en la cual solo habían caminos, montes, unas cuantas lámparas y nada más. Igual me he criado en ese lugar. Han pasado años y años y años, y los viejos luchadores de aquel entonces han fallecido y no vieron las diferentes situaciones por cual lucharon. No vieron nada positivo hasta ese entonces.
When I arrived, it was just an island with a few roads, a couple of lamps, and not much more. I grew up there, and the fighters from back then, they unfortunately died, and they didn't see any positive changes.
Pasaron mucho tiempo y la gente de la comunidad pues ya no quería creer en absolutamente nada. Para ellos estaba perdido porque nadie hacía nada por el sector. En la actualidad aún tenemos camino y no tenemos calles. Entonces ya cada quien vivía por vivir y no querían saber absolutamente de nada.
Time has passed, and people from my community stopped believing. They stopped believing because nobody did anything for them. All this time has passed, and we still have some roads, but no paved roads. Nobody has done anything for them, so they stopped believing.
Soy muy creyente de Dios, pero cada cosa tiene su tiempo. Y primeramente, después de muchísimos años, hicieron una vía, ¿no es cierto?, donde hay transportes. Hace un año estuve involucrada en el cerramiento de la escuelita de mi sector.
I am a strong believer in God. But there is time for everything. And after many years, we were able to get a paved road. We were also, I saw the construction of the first school there.
Y eso es gratificante, porque tú poco a poco te vas dando cuenta del avance, no en su gran mayoría como muchas veces uno quisiera. A mí me ha costado muchísimo levantar mi sector por la falta de creencia, por las distintas o los diferentes engaños de que mañana te hago y no pasaba nada. Entonces ha ido costando, que ahora, gracias a Dios, han visto en mi perseverancia un poquito de aliento.
It is really gratifying to see progress little by little. You don't see the progress that you want when you want it, but there is progress. It has been really hard to see this progress in my sector, especially because people said that they were going to do things and then nothing ever happened. It's been really hard. People stopped believing. But because of my perseverance, people now have hope.
Mis madres del sector hoy, como les indico, ven un poquito más de esperanza con cada una de las actividades que realizó con los niños, con los jóvenes, con las madres. Y siempre en mis oraciones le pedí a Dios que mi Ecuador y el mundo entero se diera cuenta que en Esmeraldas había un sector llamado Isla Luis Vargas Torres que necesitaba del apoyo urgente de cada una de las autoridades. Gracias.
The mothers in my sector, as I said, started having hope because they saw all of the activities that I carried out with the children, with the youth, with the mothers. I used to pray every night for Ecuador and for the world to know that in Esmeraldas, there is an island, Isla Vargas Torres, that needs the urgent support of the authorities. Thank you.
What stood out for me from what you shared is, Agatha, you talked about patience and positivity and hope. There's a definition out there that diplomacy is patient accumulation of partial successes. And that's the art and that's the beauty of diplomacy. And I would love to hear more about how you build upon those partial successes. What challenges did you encounter scaling your movement? And so that the change you're advocating for are sustainable and lasts long term.
Well, I hate diplomacy, so I'm not going to. so it's the only point where we differ, but on patience, it's mainly the patience to know that it will take time. It will be a gradual process, that incremental change that as I told you, I see now. The challenges are so many. They come from threats to your life. They got threats to your source of livelihood. I was evicted from my house I was in last year for no reason. That's because of my work. That they will look for ways of really inflicting pain on you, of intimidating you so that you give up. And my advice is that for whoever wants to do this kind of work or wants to challenge anything, must go in prepared for that. Go in prepared for those things that will happen. The challenges go to your mental health. You struggle. It takes a toll on you. And even that, you need to really prepare yourself for it. But also, what I am learning now, you need to learn to accept help for it. I hadn't thought about it much, but it's something I have been thinking about a lot lately. I also was intentional about finding. First, it was finding a support system, and a support system is not necessarily going to be your family. No, my family, they are my biggest critics of the work I do. Yes, it comes from a point of love. They don't want you to die. But I hate it. It nags me a lot. And because of that, I make sure I don't tell them what I am up to, what I am doing. I am lucky that my parents live in the countryside. They are not tech savvy, so because I work on social media a lot, they don't know. So most of the times they don't know. My elder sister, who used to nag me a lot, as telling some of the people here the story of how I went with her to receive that award I got at the European Union last year. When they asked me to go with someone, I deliberately went with her so that she sees that there's a reward in that work for her. Her dream for me was to finish school, get a big job in government, don't care what's happening, make money and raise your children, feed them. It was also from a point of love. So those people are not going to be your support system. I started to look for, like the positivity you talked about, I started to hang around only people that encourage me and I believe in what I'm doing, believe that it is the right thing to do. But I also picked a team, picked people that we share these values from the platform. And we work together now. I am here, not worried that there's no work going on because I have people that carry it on. So those are the tips maybe I'd give to anyone. Support system won't be your family. Unless you have a different family from mine, but you have to look for others. Thank you.
Of course, in everybody's work, which makes certain changes, they always faces challenges. Challenges are always there, but how you cope with the challenge, how you look into the challenges. So I had a 1 month sort of training course on advocacy in Washington, D.C., from where I learned SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. So as a lawyer, when I get a file, when I do any tax, I always look into what would be my strength, what would be my opportunities, what would be my threats. So I vision in that way, and I capture and then I move. Every time I'm not successful, but I never leave anything. I always fight. I fight in such a way that even the judges cannot stop me. Fawzia, please stop, stop, stop. I said, I'm not going to stop. So in this way I move. I'm very aggressive when I want to do something for anybody. And I sometimes, a lot of people criticize me that I'm always very aggressive and I speak very loud. Every time I'm very soft-spoken, but when I go to the court, I shout. And sometimes I'm misunderstood also. Because once I was sitting in a courtroom and another male lawyer was sitting beside me. But suddenly he sat on my robe, the gown. So my item has come, so I wanted to stand up, but I couldn't. And suddenly I thought that I wear saris in such a way that my sari might come out. And I was trying to tell him, and the judge was sitting in front of me. Fawzia, every time you are trying to be an activist, even in the court you are trying to be an activist. So in this way I am condemned sometime also. Some of the judges said that I am too extreme, and some of the judges praises me. But it is I feel very bad when I do cases based on merits. Sometimes I do cases for the men also, Men are also victim of violence. So, and they tell me, why you have come? I said, I have brothers, so I need to fight for my brothers. So, I don't believe that rights, individual rights, women rights or men rights, whenever any rights are concerned, I take the challenges and I fight for all the abuse and violation of rights. That is my challenge.
She forgot the question. Can you repeat the question, please?
The question is, how did you scale your movement so it's sustainable and it grows upon it?
Bueno, los retos que yo he tenido en mi vida, pues no han sido fácil. No han sido fáciles, son un poquito complicados. El levantar la comunidad, en estar cada día al frente de diferentes actividades que muchas veces uno no sabe si van a ser aceptadas o no por la comunidad.
I have had many challenges in my life, and the challenges have been hard and complicated. Lifting up my community has been really difficult. You plan and work on activities and you don't know if they are going to be accepted by the community or not.
Siempre me propongo objetivos claros, cortos, para que esos mensajes lleguen a la comunidad. Es más, uno de los retos más importantes fue una amenaza que tuve, pero igual dije, no voy a parar.
I tried to have clear and short goals so that my messages can make it to the community. One of the biggest challenges that I had was a threat, but I told myself I am not going to stop.
Estos retos han permitido como fortalecerme más. A pesar de que tengo 3 hijos, tengo uno de 20, uno de 17, y muchas veces la situación de mi sector se torna complicada. Igual, miento si les digo que no he sentido miedo. Sí, lo siento, pero la gente lo necesita. La gente necesita que estemos ahí al frente y no demostrar miedo, sino que seguir siempre en la lucha.
All these challenges have made me stronger. I have 3 children, a 20-year-old, a 17-year-old, and a 4-year-old. And sometimes it has been very difficult. I also feel fear. But people need us. They need us to keep going and not stop.
Al estar aquí, en mi ciudad, bueno, el Ecuador entero no sabía que yo era nominada, pero gracias a Dios ya estoy aquí. Las redes sociales han reventado y yo sé que de una u otra manera este reto ha llegado a los oídos de aquellos que nunca prestaron atención a los pedidos de auxilio que hacía la comunidad. Gracias.
People in Ecuador didn't know about my nomination, but now I'm here, and social media is blowing up. And I know that one way or another, those people who didn't hear the calls for help from our community are now listening. Thank you very much.
I wish we could spend more time here with you. You know, what we heard today, and especially today in our society, there's a lot of I's, there's a lot of they and thems. And I think today what we felt was we, us. And for our panelists and for the women who are recipients, I know that you have risked families and friends who may have turned against you. I hope that you are embraced with a new family, with a global family who witness you, who see you and know you, and are so grateful for your courage. Thank you. And now I would like to turn this over to In Kim, who I understand is a student here who will be providing the closing.
Thank you guys, if you don't mind. I'm gonna stand behind here. I just want to say, can we give a round of applause again for these incredible women that have shared their stories? Thank you. I just want to say your patience, hope, faith, and the sacrifices that you have made are definitely an encouragement to me, and I know everyone in this room. So I just thank you so much for that. Turning to you guys, hi everyone. My name is Katelyn Choe, and I'm a second-year full-time MBA student at Anderson School of Management, and I also have the privilege of serving as the president of our Net Impact Club. And so Net Impact's mission is to inspire and equip emerging leaders with kind of this conversation and the necessary skill set to build what we consider a more just and sustainable world. Something that these incredible women clearly have played a role in something that these incredible women clearly have played a role in for the journeys that they have definitely played more than 30 years, some of them. And I'm just taken aback by kind of what I've heard today. And so bear with me because this was amazing. So as we gather here today during Women's History Month to celebrate the remarkable achievements and contributions of women worldwide, it's my privilege to also extend a heartfelt appreciation to the organizations that have worked to make this possible. And so I wish to express our profound gratitude to the Office of the Global Women's Issues at the United States Department of State, and for their steadfast work and global dedication to creating the International Women of Courage and empowering women and girls worldwide through U.S. diplomacy, partnerships, and different programs that they have available. We're reminded of their monumental impact through initiatives such as this, having honored over 190 women from 90 countries. And to me, this still feels like just the start. Now they're entering their 18th year of the IWOC Awards. and being able to shine a spotlight on these amazing women and their courage, their strength, and their leadership in advocating for peace, justice, human rights, women's equality and equity, often at great personal risk and sacrifice to themselves. And I think that's something that we can all appreciate. It's a testament to the resilience and determination of these awardees who inspire us to also strive towards a more equitable world. I want to also extend our sincerest thank yous to the American Women in International Understanding, or the AWIU. Since 2008, the organization has partnered with the U.S. Department of State to honor the IWOC awardees with the celebration dinner. This one happening tomorrow night. And the UCLA Anderson School of Management has been a loyal sponsor of. So helping to celebrate and appreciate these awardees with the provision of grants. As a nonpartisan nonprofit, AWIU seeks to build and provide AWIU seeks to build bridges of international understanding, and today's event amplifies the stories of the women of courage, as well as other exciting conversations that they facilitate in this manner. I also want to thank Meridian, a nonpartisan diplomacy center with the vision that greater understanding and collaboration between the United States and the world leads to more prosperous and more important conversations and a better future for all of us. And so for more than 60 years, Meridian has been a principal partner in implementing programming such as the International Visitor Leadership Program, so the U.S. State Department Premier Professional Exchange. So thank you, Meridian, for your unwavering commitment to fostering collaboration and understanding across borders. Last but not least, I want to give a final thank you to the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Office at Anderson School of Management, as well as our Anderson Student Association VP of EDI, Maricela Garza. I see her sitting in the back, as well as the Women's Business. Yes, for sure. As well as the Women's Business Connection President, Sophia Mendo, who worked collaboratively to first establish this event, expanding on Anderson's commitment to creating collaborative and inclusive forums such as this to create and cultivate transformative leadership. Today, in this discussion, we have been reminded of the profound impact that us as individuals can make, even in the face of adversity, especially in the face of adversity. I hope we leave here with a firm understanding of the importance of good governance in fostering inclusion and having these prosperous conversations in order to propel our societies forward and continue to recognize the vital roles that we, as individuals connected to one of the most prestigious institutions in the United States, can play in driving innovation and promoting a more equitable and just world. In closing, let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration and empowerment that defines this event, not just for today or for this month, but every day thereafter. May we continue to challenge ourselves to work together in addressing and alleviating injustices in our particular spheres of excellence and focused on creating lasting positive impact. Thank you once again to our esteemed partners, the panelists here today who have shared a little piece of themselves with us, and for all of you for joining us here today for this conversation. Thank you.
I hope you'll all join us in the courtyard just outside for a reception at which you'll be able to meet and mingle with all of the awardees. Thank you again for your participation, and never doubt that you can make history by supporting these women making history.
Thank you.